Installing the AFMS equipment correctly is essential for efficient operation. In this video, I will show you how to install the AFMS controller and complete the wiring. The first controller mounting option I will discuss is mounting on a flat surface. Note, it is suggested to mount the controller inside a metal enclosure for RF shielding and physical protection. And please refer to the controller installation documentation for any environmental restrictions required. First, position the controller on a flat surface so that the color-coded terminal blocks are easy to access for wiring after the controller is mounted. The black terminals are for power, the green terminals are for inputs and outputs, the gray terminals are for communication. Next, screw a number 6 sheet metal screw through each corner of the controller. If the controller is to be installed on a DIN rail, position the DIN rail so that the color-coded terminal blocks are easy to access for wiring after the controller is mounted. Position the controller so that the top 4 tabs of the back channel rest on the DIN rail, and then lower the controller against the DIN rail. Push in the DIN latch to engage the rail. To remove the controller, pull the DIN latch until it clicks once, and then lift the controller off the DIN rail. Connecting power to the controller. Note, follow all local regulations and wiring codes. To connect a 24-volt Class 2 transformer to the black power terminal block of the controller, connect the neutral side of the transformer to the controller's common terminal. Connect the AC phase side of the transformer to the controller's phase terminal. Note, connect only one controller to each 24 VAC Class 2 transformer with 12 to 24 gauge wire. Use either shielded connected cables or enclosed all cables in conduit to maintain RF emission specifications. Now I will show you how to wire the components to the controller. The first component that I'm going to connect is the inclinometer. Connect the inclinometer's yellow signal wire to UI7 on the controller. Then connect the inclinometer's green signal wire to UI8 on the controller. Finally, connect the inclinometer's blue ground wire to the GND between UI7 and UI8 on the controller. Connecting the outside air temperature sensor. Connect the outside air temperature sensor's signal wire to UI4 on the controller and connect the sensor's ground wire to GND next to the UI4 on the controller. And connecting the return air temperature sensor. Connect the sensor's signal wire to UI5 on the controller. Connect the sensor's ground wire to GND next to UI5 on the controller. Now connecting the mixed air temperature sensor. Connect the sensor's signal wire to UI6 on the controller. Connect the sensor's ground wire to GND next to UI6 on the controller. And connecting the proportional actuator. For the connection to the actuator, run the signal wire from U07 on back 5901 AFMS or from U09 on the back 9311 to the signal terminal on the actuator. Connect the signal common wire to GND terminal next to U07 if using a back 5901 or U09 if using a back 9311 AFMS controller. For installations where an existing actuator is used, the modulating input signal would be connected to UI3 on the AFMS controller. Connect the ground wire to the GND terminal next to UI3 on the AFMS controller. Note, the proportional signal should be a 0 to 10 or a 2 to 10 voltage signal. Connecting an Ethernet network for a back 5901 CE or a back 9311 CE AFMS, connect an Ethernet patch cable to the Ethernet port. And here's a caution, in Conquest E models, do not plug a cable meant for the Ethernet communications into the yellow room sensor port. The room sensor port powers a net sensor and the supply voltage may damage an Ethernet switch or the router. The Ethernet patch cable should be a T568B category 5 or better and maximum of 328 feet between the devices. Connect the BACnet network to the gray BACnet MST terminal block. Use 18 gauge wire that shielded and twisted pair with maximum capacitance of 51 picofarads per foot for all network wiring. The Belden cable 82760 or equivalent. Connect the negative A terminals in parallel with all other negative A terminals on the network, and connect the positive B terminals in parallel with all other positive B terminals on the network. Connect the shield of the cable together at each device using a wire nut or the S terminal on the KMC BACnet controllers. You can also twist the shields together and tape them back on the communication wire. Connect the cable shield to a good earth ground at one point only. For principles and good practices when connecting an MSTP network, see the Planning BACnet Networks application. The EOL switch is shipped from the factory in the off position. If the controller is at either end of the BACnet MSTP network with only one set of wires under the terminals, turn the EOL switch to on. The last step is to verify if the controller's device instance and MAC address or IP address is set correctly. Please refer to the KMC Connect Reference Manual or KMC Connect Lite User Guide or the KMC Converge Reference Manual for instructions on how to change these settings. This completes the installation of the AFMS controller and wiring to devices and sensors. To learn more about KMC Control's airflow measurement station, or to learn more about any of the solutions from the building geniuses at KMC, visit us on the web at kmccontrols.com.